It is so refreshing to see old friends, and I am happy to be back again in DNR. My heart's still with the DNR. And I'd like to thank Secretary Loizaga for inviting us here. This is a very important forum in making policy reforms in the management of our environment and natural resources. As was said, this is already the third leg. I was able to join the forum in Manila, and in Visayas, it was attended by my colleague, lawyer Forester Roberto Oliva, our new president of the Society of Philippine Foresters. And again, I'm happy to be here in Mindanao. It is remarkable that the ENR sector has been made a key agenda in the administration of President BBM due to the impacts of climate change, the unabated deforestation, continuing degradation of our environment, declining water supply, and extreme poverty in the uplands, to name a few. It is but urgent that we have to continue rethinking or reframing our policies and programs, systems and procedures grounded on science and on what is practical that will promote sustainability, resiliency, and inclusiveness in managing our environment and natural resources. Next slide, please. The Society of Filipino Foresters does not have a particular business in forestry. But as foresters, we have been advocating for the sustainable management of our forest resources. We should not be hounded by the bad experiences in the past, but instead endeavor in correcting the malpractices and optimize the opportunities in forestry to ensure the supply of ecosystems and socioeconomic services to be available to meet both the present and future needs and contribute to the sustainable development of communities. As defined by the FAO, sustainable forestry management is a dynamic and evolving concept which aims to maintain and enhance the economic, social, and environmental values of all types of forests for the benefit of present and future generations. Our country has a great advantage of achieving these objectives, considering that we are in the tropical zone, where forest growth is faster than in the temperate countries. Mr. Piteri Makitalo of the Nordic Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines once said that the Philippines can be a superpower in forestry. Finland, which is the superpower in forestry, is only producing 6 to 15 cubic meters per hectare. In the Philippines, we can produce 100 cubic meters or more per hectare. While forests are being viewed as natural resource that need to be protected, preserved, and conserved, we, foresters, consider it as one of the key drivers of sustainable development, resiliency, and inclusive development of the country. Nauna yung slides. To give you some facts and to think about, we have 15.8 million hectares of forest, or 53% of the 30 million hectares that we have in the Philippines. 7.1 million hectares is in Mindanao. So almost 50%. And the 1.2 million hectares is in the Barm area. There are 25 million people in the uplands. I think this data is still in the 1980s. I don't know if it was already outdated, but the reality is we have a lot of people in the uplands. And we have about 9 million hectares of forest lands that are marginalized and unproductive. We know for a fact that forests do not only provide timber for our needs, forest enhances water harvesting, storage capacity of watersheds necessary for domestic use and irrigation, and water quality improvement. Forest absorbs carbon dioxide. Forest cleans the air that we breathe. Forest attenuates flooding. Forests provide food and medicine and nutra-chemicals. Forest provides a gene pool to improve our food production and many others. Forest promotes social services. It provides green jobs and it preserves culture. Forest biomass can also be tapped as a resource for power generation. Next slide. Now, the challenges that we have in forestry, our forest cover continue to decline and the NGP's gains, the National Greening Program's gains, are being canceled by the continuous human encroachment in forest land due to poverty. Many of us believe that cutting of trees is bad. It is good, especially cutting those mature and over-mature trees to liberate the young seedlings. We also have the failure to recognize the significance of forestry in economic recovery. I was a member of the Regional Development Council of Region 1, and I'm so sad that forestry is not being given importance, despite the 15.8 million hectares that we have. So I've been able to somehow influence the preparation of the RD Regional Development Plan of Region 1, now including more concern in protecting our forest or watershed. Another challenge is on wood importation. We are importing 75% of our timber requirement, which is amounting to billions of pesos. Another challenge, current policies and procedures or the ever-changing policies in forestry discourage investments. The next one is, ito yung laging reklamo ng mga investors natin, yung lengthy and tedious application and processing on forest investments. Yung applications ng permits, etc. Then we have insufficient incentives for forestry investors. My recommendation, sana nandito pa si Congressman Rodriguez, we now have to enact the Sustainable Forest Management Bill. Congressman Rodriguez is one of the main author, and it is being pushed again in Congress. In the last Congress, we were able to bring it up to the Senate, but unfortunately, it never passed. So bumalik siya sa Kongreso. While DNR have policies and programs in managing our forest resources, we need a law that will stabilize these policies and programs to provide legal security for our investors despite the political changes. Basically, the SFM bill provides for the delineation of the protection and production areas. The bill encourages investors in developing the productive lands for timber using sustainable forest management as a framework and a community-based as a strategy. Next recommendation is to update, streamline, and rationalize systems and procedures in forest investments, expand incentives to attract investors, adopt the public-private community partnership, particularly on the CBFM areas. We know that CBFM is a very good program, but the people does not have the capability or the financial ability to develop their areas. We have to establish the Sustainable Forest Development Fund. This is a part of the Sustainable Forest Management to finance forest investments. We should be able to tap carbon financing and trading opportunities to expand the benefits to reforest the denuded areas. We have to establish forest industrial economic zone to create green jobs in the locality. I think this was already started in Caraga. We have to empower the forestry profession, medyo parochial, but I think we have the science in managing forestry. And we foresters can do that. Madam Secretary, in our conference in Cebu, we were also able to develop the Sustainable Forest Management Roadmap jointly with the DNR. Our expectation is for that to be rolled out in the regions, for the regional offices to prepare their own roadmaps, and will be submitted to the Secretary for final adoption and implementation. Then, like I said, we also have to incorporate forest land opportunities in the regional development plans. My ending remarks, 6 minutes about. Forestry is about survival. We should understand that the forest protection and biodiversity conservation can only work when there is no hunger and people live comfortably. The longer we delay the needed actions, our problems on climate change, poverty, flood, soil erosion, hunger, freshwater decline, energy shortage, wood importation, and biodiversity will linger on until its damage becomes irreversible. Right here, right now, we have the collective power to make a change for the better, to make our country more resilient while mitigating climate change and let Filipinos live more comfortably. We can make this happen. Maraming salamat.